Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I'm going to try to get through the character creation process for the Land of Em. Let's roll it. So, full disclosure, I have not tried this at all yet. I am going cold. I want to see if this is actually something I can follow without my brain going "Pachoo!" and just having it go off into the nether region somewhere, which is pretty much typical of my normal day. So, let's see how this works. The character creation process for the Land of Em, and I'm going to go down here in the corner. Hello, I'm going to be reading some stuff too. It's 8 steps. The first is very simple. You think about your concept. So think really hard. Basically, look over the character classes, look over the different folk that you can use, and see which one you might want to try playing. So there's no random roll for what folk you're going to play. You get to choose in this game. Next is you select a class, same way it unlike other games where you're going to roll. So Dragonbane, as much fun as that is, this one you get to actually choose your class. You're going to choose your starting class perks, and you're going to record the level 1 class abilities. So your abilities and attribute scores in this game are a little bit different. Or excuse me, you have attribute scores and stats in this game. So we're going to see what goes on here. Let me bring the sidebar out. And we're going to go to the character class that I figured I'd just start to play for this one, and that is the Knight-Errant. Let's get rid of the sidebar really quick. And I am going to want to be a skilled fighter who rides a steed and leads others. That sounds good, except we're going to do a little bit of a different twist on this. So your Knight-Errant abilities at level 1 are a Wayfarer. The Knight-Errant has been around M and back. Realms check once every session and invent something about a place, landmark, or point of interest. I think that sounds actually kind of interesting. So once in a session, I can just say, hey, this exists, and suddenly it will. So that would be kind of fun. Then you also have inspiring orders. Allies look to the Knight-Errant for guidance and leadership. Inspire check twice every session on a 6+. Choose one of the following, and there are some bonuses to that over here. So all those things are really kind of cool. And if you watched my review of the Land of Em, at first level, I have both of these class abilities. So I don't have to choose right now. When I get to a higher level, like when I level up, I'm going to have to choose one or the other. And that's one of the quirks of the game that I am not sure how it works, just because of the nature of the fiction in game. Like, I'm not sure why I would lose one of these abilities when I level up and I'm already using them. Mechanically, it makes sense because at level 1, I get to choose both. I don't have to start at the beginning and say, man, I wish I would have done that. So I like it mechanically, just the fiction is a little bit odd there. So let me figure out what I have. Additional perks and abilities. Is there another one on place for the abilities there? No. So we're just going to write that down here. So I have Wayfarer and Inspiring Orders. INSPIR. I have no idea if I typed that correctly or not. We're just going to have that there. And then I get to choose a steed? My goodness gracious. That's just awesome. So I don't know if I get a spot for that on the character sheet. Maybe I should have read this beforehand. No, we're just going to put my steed here. I'm going to have our Bogrillian Tortoise. Bogrillian Tortoise. That sounds fun. And that's what I've got for that. I'm going to have Knight-Errants begin play with one magnificent item, a weapon, a breastplate, or a banner. Man, I am actually going to choose a magnificent weapon. We'll maybe try that in a little bit, which should be fun. Let's get back to the character creation steps. So we choose the class, got my class perks, and class abilities. We'll think about the magnificent weapon in a little bit. Assign modifiers to attributes. So you're going to assign +1 or +2, I've already messed up the numbers, +2, +1, +0, and -1 to the attributes of your choice. So your attributes are over here. Vim, Vigor, Knack, and Know-How. So he's a knight, so I'm figuring 2 was going to have to be for his Vim. Vigor is their athletics, intimidate, might, and vitality. And I think that would be kind of interesting for a knight to have a 0 in that. I'm going to show you why in a minute. Not probably your typical build, but I think it might be fun for this. Going to have Knack be 1. A little bit different for a knight, and I'll figure out that in a little bit and show you why. And then Know-How, well, he's just not going to be totally aware of how to function in the world. That kind of makes sense for me. So there's your attribute modifiers. The corresponding skills of an attribute also get its modifier. So Vigor's +2, athletics, intimidate, might, and vitality are also +2. So Vim, we're going to put 2, 2, 2, 2, zeros for all of that, 1 here, and then -1. We're just going to copy that down. So that's my skills. Now this is the part that I was a little weirded out about because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to follow this for the adjustments that are going to happen. So now we're going to go to tweak skills. So you're going to subtract -1 from a +2 skill. Now this is something that, let me get my main camera. This is something that when I was going through the process, I wasn't quite visualizing it. But now that I'm looking at the character sheet, I kind of understand. Your Vim is 2, no matter what. So that any check that's just a Vim check is going to be a +2. But your skills have 4 for each of your different attributes. And so that is actually going to be altered by this adjustment that I'm doing now. So when I was going through the process, for some reason, I was thinking like, why, like my Vim's going to be a go from a 2 to a 1 just because you say so? What's going on here? But there's a little bit more differentiation going on, and I'm beginning to like this. So let's see how this happens here. So I am going to subtract -1 from my +2 skill. So do I want Charm, Inspire, Metal, or Perception? You know what? As much as he's a knight, I think that he's just not going to be inspiring. Again, I have a character concept in mind here for this. Subtract -1 from my +1 skill. So I'm going to go to 0 for something. I think that trickery is not very duplicitous. And you're going to add +1 to a 0 skill. So all my vigor stuff, I can actually add 1. And I actually think athletics or vitality. What am I going to put that in? I kind of want an athletic guy. Let's find out how that works there. And then you're going to add +1 to a -1 skill. So you're going to level out one of these types of things. And I think that maybe we'll give this knight a little bit of a tinker. At least not a penalty as the tinker. That should be kind of fun. So there we go for that. So courage and dread are determined by class. Attack is equal to your vigor modifier. So attack is 0. That's probably not the best choice for a knight, but oh well. Defense is the inverse of the knack modifier. So my knack modifier is 1, so my defense is going to be -1. Kind of a descending armor class concept in this game because it's going to adjust the rolls that are made against you. So that's kind of cool. And then quest points are 3 plus know-how. So my quest points are 2 because my know-how was -1. Maybe I didn't think this through quite as well as I should have. Inventory slots equals 20 plus might plus vitality. So my vitality is 0. My might is 0. So my inventory slots is basically just 20. Gonna have to rethink this in the future, but hey, what the heck. And then your courage and dread are determined by class. So let's go back to my class that I was going to choose, the knight here. There we go. Where did it say? So courage is 15 plus Vim. So 15 plus Vim is going to be 17. I don't have any, or 17 is also the current. So there we go. And then it says my dread is 1d10. I need some dice to roll. Okay, so to get your starting dread, that's going to be 1d10. So let's get over to my dice here. And let's roll a 1d10 and see what I get. Where'd my cursor go? There we go. I roll a 1. Okay. Almost a 9. But it was a 1. So dread is 1. That's great. Is that the damage I do? That's just awesome. Let's get back to the character creation steps. I'm going to do my magnificent item in a minute there. I did choose a steed, and I have my inspiring order abilities and other stuff going on. So let's go back to character creation process here. We have tweak skills, determine stats, courage, dread, inventory stats, select a folk. And this is where things get fun because I have a particular folk that I want to get into. Here is the folk that you can choose from. So you got the Boggart, the Boggle, the Bogrel, the Bugbear, the Gelatinous Goo, the Gnome, the Goblin. This is a human here. I'll go for one page there. Oh, there we go. An imp, a mushroom, a quirtle, a shrim, a skeleton, a welkin, a whalen, or a wug. I think that's all of them. Yep. So it's a lot that you can do. I don't know why it's not letting me just, there we go. For that. But for mine that I'm doing, I'm going to choose the Gelatinous Goo. So that's where I'm going with it. A Knight-Errant Gelatinous Goo. Why? Why not? Right? That should be fun. So here's the Gelatinous Goo. Let's hide this again. Zoom in a little bit here. Size is smaller, medium. The skills are +1 search, +1 perception, or +1 nimbleness. So I get to choose. So you have in Land of Eem, your folk will have different modifiers that's based on not only the species they are, but also the cultural kind of background that you come from. So I'm actually going to put a nimbleness. We're going to add a 1 to nimbleness. We'll do that as 2. Which is a very practiced oozing. That sounds like a fun idea. -1 tinker, -1 inspire, or -1 metal. And I just don't think that a gelatinous goo is going to be very inspiring in the middle of a combat at some point. So that's what I was going to do for that. Where is inspire though? -1 tinker, inspire, or metal. There's tinker. Where's metal? There's metal. Oh, there's inspire. So we're going to reduce inspire. Inspire is going to be 0. So he's a knight, really out there, no charisma. Not very charismatic. Homelands are the underlands, and I can pick a starting perk then from the character. Gem sniffing, based on ancestry, because the oozes are used to oozing, looking for them. I guess they do it for heat. Heat resistant. They're no strangers to the heat of molten magma. I kind of like that one. Or jelly body. Bodies of gelatinous goos are highly malleable and stick. Vitality check. So you make a check with vitality. So just to point that out for that. So vitality is this. It would be flat. You would roll a d12, and then you would determine your result from that. But vitality checks squish and squeeze through tight cracks and openings. Gelatinous goos can also secrete a slippery goop that lasts for several minutes. What do I go for that? That is a really good question. And where do I put this? Ideals, flaws, folk. We're going to put gelatinous goo. Again, I'm doing this Knight-Errant, doing this for the first time. I haven't even looked over the character sheet yet, so this is kind of fun. Homeland is going to be the Underlands. So they live underground. It's where they're used to being there. I don't see a spot for their perks. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Proficiencies, deficiencies, conditions. their ideals, their flaws, their personal quest, and their backstory, which is stuff that you would normally do in a session 0, but I don't see any place for, it's just additional perks and abilities. So I guess everything goes here, and I'm going to have Jelly Body. So probably spelled everything wrong, but I'm going to do a vitality check to squeeze through openings. So the Jelly Body is kind of important to me for my Knight-Errant, who is nameless. Really not much of a pronoun type person. It's more of a they, them. I'm not sure gelatinous goos really care. That's a non-gelatinous being issue. Yeah, so that's what we got for that. Let's bring back out my sidebar and go back up to the character steps. So we've selected the folk. I do have my need to put my quirks in as well. So I can choose 2 folk perks and 1 folk quirk, or 1 folk perk. So this is where things get a little confusing for me. So let's go back to the gelatinous goo here. So I can actually choose 2 perks and 1 quirk there. I kind of like I'm just going to keep it as the 1 perk for this. I'm not going to put a quirk on there for my gelatinous goo. He's already handicapped enough because I chose really bad stats for him. Select a proficiency, which is page 69. We'll go there. It's based on the homeland. So we have the homeland is the underlands, and let's see what the proficiencies that come from that. So page 69. Let's hide my sidebar. There we go. And Dippy Downs, these are all the different homelands you can have. Here's the Underlands. Let's see what we got here. So proficiencies. I can choose 1 of these. Underlands lore, mining, seeing in the dark, listening, or hiding. Oh, well, we're doing seeing in the dark. I mean, of course, right? That's what you want to do. That's absolutely. And then you have 10 slots of equipment. So your homeland is going to change your equipment a little bit, at least for your starting stuff. So carry, let's put some stuff in here. There we go. So there's 10 slots that's down. So he's got 10 out of 20 are now used, which is fine for him. So that's his basic stuff. Go back, zoom out a little bit here. Go back to my sidebar. There we go. Zoom in. Homeland proficiency, and roll 2 mundane items on page 88. So let's see how that works here. So here's page 88. Oh, it's a D100 table. Ooh. That's kind of fun. 2 page. Whoa, wait a minute. What is this? D400? Oh my gosh. How do you roll a D400? To roll a D, well, it's right here. To roll a D400, roll 1D4. 1 is 1 through 100. 2 is 2 for, oh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Then roll a D100. All right, cool. So let's do that. Boink. Clear my dice tray here. So it's going to be 1 through 100. And we're going to roll my percentile dice here. So 96 is the first one. So let's see what we got here. Let's get rid of my sidebar. 96. It's on page 2. Come on. 96. Cookware for 2. Cool. Oops. Brings me down to 8 slots that I have open. I still don't have my weapon. And if you can see here on the slot here, it says it's a tool and copper. So the tag is the type of item it is, and then you have the cost is what that copper is. If you wanted to buy new cookware, you would need a pouch of copper coins. That's the idea. But let's go back to my dice, and let's see what the 4 brings us. 3. So that's going to be the 300 level of the table. Oh, that's not the right die. Oh, yeah, it is. 16. So 3 and 16. Let's go. So there's 2 and 3. Oh, 8, 3, 16. A shovel for another 2. Let's put that in there. Down to 6. This poor gelatinous goo. So one of the things that you can see on the character sheet is it doesn't have like a list of different things you can put in inside the character sheet. It's just an old style list that you would have seen in like the old school, like the Moldy Cook Basic and Expert character sheets. Like my first one, this is how equipment would have been done. Some folks might want a little bit more organization, stick it in a another sheet of lined paper, whatever you want. But this kind of works, especially if you're just typing it in. So that's that idea there. And those are my 2 mundane items. So one of the things I still need to do for this Gelatinous Goo Knight-Errant is his magnificent item. He gets to choose one, and then you randomly roll on a trait. So I'm going to have him... I just like the idea of a goo carrying a battle axe. So that's kind of what I'm going to have him have there. These are the magnificent trait items here. Let's get rid of my sidebar. Need to learn the key for that. So these are your general items. Those are your mundane items, special services, armor, and weapons. So I'm going to do a one-handed melee weapon, inflict dread normally. So it's just going to be have an axe. There's not a real big list of the types of weapons that you have to have. It's just, that's the type, I guess. And I am going to put axe for now. And let's roll this mundane item here. So this is going to be a bladed weapon trait, is what I'm going to do it on. And I'm going to roll a 1d12. So let's see what I got there. D12. That is a 10. Ooh, rolling high. That should be fun. D10, lucky. Once every session, re-roll a missed attack. That will be me every session. Like that's basically everybody every session, but I would probably be able to use that like all the time because I'm a terrible, terrible roller. And I think that's just going to be 1 slot. We're going to call it 1 slot because he's already really far down. So there's his 5. So from there, we get to go back and do the backstory. So let's go to character creation steps. Oh, go back here. There we go. Character. This is fun. I'm making everybody dizzy, and I'm very sorry, but this is kind of fun for me just to hack around and do it completely messy. I do have a couple cuts when I need to go download some software or whatnot, but I've got it set up pretty good. So choose a name and pronouns, create a backstory, ideal and flaw during session 0, personal quest, and your relationship. So those are things I can't do right now because I'm doing it by myself. We'll do a name. So pronouns, name. Just a gloop. That's good. It's gloop. So most people call him glib, but he's trying to pronounce it like, no, it's gloop. You have to get the for it in there, and pronouns are for solids. I'm gonna do. There we go. Pronouns are for solids, because it's a goo. I don't know if the goo really needs to have a pronoun, but it would be they, them if it was anything else. But let's develop the character story. We're going to do the backstory, the ideal, and a flaw. So let's see if we can get to that. Get rid of my sidebar again and zoom out a little bit. So, backstory. All right, so we're a knight-errant, and it's a D6 roll. So let's clear this out here. 5. I never wanted to be a knight, but I was thrust in the responsibility by a promise. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to copy that text if I can. Is it going to let me do it? Sure. And put that over here. I mean, it's a gelatinous goo who's a knight who never wanted to be, but someone made my gelatinous goo promise to do that. I mean, glib is just glib. Glib. That's how it is. It's just not happy about their vocation in life. I think that's absolutely hysterical. So, alrighty then. So that's their backstory. Now let's see what their flaw is going to be, or their ideals we got to do. So Knight-Errant here. Let's zoom in. Come on. Be happy for me. We're going to say what their ideal is. Another D6 roll. Clear this. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm trying to look at my screen, which is kind of down. But let's get another D6 roll here. Ooh, a 6, rolling high. I'll never do this again. There. Oh, this is my favorite picture that I took at Williamsburg. I think that's great. Anyway, so let's go back over here. That was a squirrel moment. Knight-Errant 6, defeat an evil adversary or fiend. So that could be the promise that that came up with. That would be a really cool idea. Defeat an evil adversary or fiend. So doesn't want to be a knight, but made a promise because this thing's got to go down. I kind of like that. That's kind of a fun thing. All right, zoom out here and let's get to flaws for the Knight-Errant. Another D6 roll. What does glib? I can't even pronounce my own character's name. That's kind of what it is. I'm not even sure that's coming over the microphone. I'm going to look at my levels really quick. Yep, it does come over. 3. What is the character's flaw? Resort to violence before. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. Resort to violence before necessary. So I have. Okay, I officially want someone to run a game for me, and I have to play this character because this is really hysterical. I have a gelatinous goo, doesn't want to be a knight, but doesn't have a whole lot of charisma, is carrying around an axe somehow, has sworn to defeat an enemy, and is prone to violence. It's a goo. This is awesome. I don't even care if this is a simple character creation process or not. This is like the greatest character of all time. I'm loving everything about this. Let's get back to if I hit any other steps, because I can't do the stuff with the other players right now. I can do their personal quest, so I can do that. So let's see what that is. Another D6 roll. Clearance. I could hit reroll. I don't know why I'm not doing that. 3. By the way, this app is Dice by PC Calc, which is a lot of fun. I have it on my iPad, my phone, and on my Mac. It's really fun for stuff like this, but I love the design of it, which is nice. Knight-Errant personal quest is rescue blank from perilous danger and uncertainty. I think this will have to be when I work on the backstory a little bit. So they want to rescue someone from danger or uncertainty. So we're going to have to figure out who that is. I'll just put someone here. Maybe it was a relative, somebody you butted off of. I don't know. How did, what is Gelatinous Goo family life like? That's something I want to know. And that's kind of fun. Alrighty then. Relationships I can't do. So this is now all stuff that I can't do until we get back to having a party here. So let's go to the character creation steps. There we go. Hide this again. I need to know the shortcut for that. Anybody know the shortcut to hide thumbnails in preview or the sidebar in preview? I should have looked that up beforehand. Basically, we're done here. Got my personal quest, ideal and flaw, create a backstory, got my pronouns, got a name, class perks, both level 1 class abilities, because that's what you get at level 1. And again, I don't know how that works in the fiction of the game, but it does work mechanically for the player because they get to use both abilities and then things go well for them. But this is my character. Let's zoom out here. And in fact, let's shrink this over here. And so that gets a little bigger. So I got glib, glib. Pronouns are for solids, which just sounds very changeling-like from DS9, even though for some reason those changelings had gender, even though they were gelatinous masses. That was kind of interesting. A knight errant, gelatinous goo, lives in the Underlands. Wants to defeat an adversary or friend. Resorts to violence before it is necessary. I mean, who doesn't want to play a gelatinous goo that resorts to violence before necessary? I mean, beautiful. Good Vim, not a whole lot of vigor. I guess maybe never had to use it, but it's athletic because they can squeeze into stuff. Knack has a little bit of ingenuity how to live in this world of bipedal solids, but is not a great tinkerer or crafter. So that's kind of fun. Has 5 equipment slots that they can play with. And that's basically it at that point. I have additional perks and abilities, which I could write out or copy out from the PDF to put in here to explain what it is. And that's it. And a little box for campaign notes. So I have to say, when I was reading the book, as I pointed out, and I think I did point this out in my review of Land of Eem, I was not quite certain if I would take to this process because there was a lot of altering numbers and I wasn't envisioning, probably because I didn't have the character sheet in front of me, what that meant. As soon as I figured out that the skills, there's 4 of them for each ability score, and so you're just adjusting 1 skill in each ability score bracket, then it kind of made sense for me and it really fell into place. And this is a fun character who's got some randomly generated elements. It got some stuff that I picked for them. And I think this could be a lot of fun to play. And it took me a little bit because I'm learning the process and I'm flipping through I'm flipping through pages to try to show you how to use it, and I'm not zooming in correctly on the different pages. But this really wouldn't take all that long. Once you put your abilities down or attributes down in your core 4 slots, and then just put down your skill sheets or skill numbers for the 16 different skills that match your 1 number, everything just kind of falls into place. And you look at your 1 character and what their different abilities are and what pluses and minuses that gives you. It's not that complicated. I'm explaining it poorly and it sounds more complicated than it actually is. And this is in my cheek the entire time. It's not that complicated. I think it would be really fast. And more importantly, I think it would be fun. That's always something that's really cool. When you have a fun character creation process, that works because then it's enjoyable. And I had that when my characters for my Numenera table were coming around and randomly rolling their relationships with each other. That's something that popped out. It's like, whoa, this is a fun process. Did it also with the Shadow Dart process and doing 3d6 down the line with everybody who's in the funnel that I'm at. When you have a fun character creation process, that's really enjoyable. 8 steps, maybe a few more steps more than people want to do. It's not quite as fast, but it's logical and it moves quick and the results are kind of neat. And I am now really excited to try to get this game to a table at some point. Anyway, that's my attempt at showing you how to make a character for the Land of Eem. And that is my Gelatinous Goo Knight-Errant, who's prone to violence. That's just awesome. So coming up, next review that I'm going to do is going to be the 9th World Bestiary. Probably before that gets out, I'm going to be doing a first look book at the Dragonbane Bestiary that just came out. I literally finished it the night I am recording this. It's a really gorgeous book, which is why I want to do that look inside before I do a full review of it. After that, I'm going to finish up Shadow Dark, and I am going to read The Origin, which is the Monty Cook Cipher System setting book that I just picked up the other week. And I think by the time that hits, I'm going to be smack dab in the middle of final preps for EcclesiaCon, and then given my vocation, I got Holy Week, which is coming up. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that might be as far out as I'm looking right now, and we'll see where everything goes from there. But there's a lot still on my shelf I need to get to share with all of you. This is going to be a really fun spring. So thanks for watching this and muddling through with me. I'm going to try to edit to make it not terrible. We'll see how that works out. But until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.